Hey guys, how's it going? This is the Stupendous Wave, and in this video we'll be talking about the top 5 monsters I want in the Godzilla Legendary series. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So at number 5 I have Anguirus. I really want to see Anguirus. He's basically Godzilla's main sidekick. Rodan is kind of a sidekick, but Godzilla and Rodan have been at odds a lot more than Anguirus and Godzilla have. Anguirus has been around since the beginning, and I definitely think that just the updated design of Anguirus would just be awesome. I love the design of him to start off with his kind of shell and his big spikes, and I love the idea of him being able to maybe curl up in a ball and roll into things. I think that could work in the Legendary series because we do have real animals on Earth that can do that. So that would be really cool to see. It would be cool to see Anguirus roll up in a ball and smash into buildings and smash into other monsters. And Anguirus really is the staple, one of the staples of the Godzilla franchise. He was there in the second movie. He was the first monster other than Godzilla to ever be shown on screen, which is just awesome to think. He's been here for the longest time, and I think Anguirus really deserves his day in the sun. Now, as far as him being an enemy for Godzilla, I think that they should fight initially and then team up. I think that would work because you can't really have Anguirus as the main villain of a whole movie. That's really not his character at all. He's always been Godzilla's ally for the most part, except for when he's either being controlled by something else or when they first initially meet. But other than that, they've really been quite good allies and fought together. So I think Anguirus would definitely be cool. I think his design fits. I think you update that design and it automatically becomes a fan favorite in the Legendary franchise. So at number 4 I have Orga. Now Orga has always been one of my favorite kaijus, always growing up. Godzilla 2000 is one of my favorite Godzilla movies just because that's the one that I watched the most as a kid. That's the one that I had access to the most. And Orga's design just looks cool. I like the idea of him being a spaceship and then a monster, although I don't think that would work in the Legendary franchise. I think that they need to keep Orga in his final stage. A couple ideas that I've had talking with some friends is that Orga might be a version of the Muto, or maybe even a mix of a Muto and Godzilla. I think that could definitely work because we know Orga actually tried to absorb some of Godzilla's DNA and it was kind of changing him. So I think that could work because he kind of shares some similarities to the Mutos. I mean, his claws look similar to Muto legs, and really they're a little bit similar, but they're different in a lot of ways too, and that's why I think you take him and you update it. You maybe give him some of that red tinge that the Mutos have, and then you mix it with Godzilla, and you can definitely get Orga to work in this franchise. I really like it, and for his little blast that he has on his shoulder, his cannon-like thing, I can definitely see if they were to mix the Muto with Godzilla DNA and create Orga, which is the origin that I would use. I just think that sounds pretty cool. You can get like a atomic breath EMP mixture of a blast, and I think that would just be awesome. And it would be cool to see Orga. He's a big kaiju, he's a strong kaiju, and he's one of my favorite. So at number 3 we have Biollante, and I definitely think that Biollante is on anyone's list that really wants to see kaijus in the Legendary series. Biollante is mean, she's big, like this thing is gigantic, way bigger than Godzilla, and I just think that would be awesome, having this plant thing with multiple tendrils which would just fly out and snap at Godzilla would just be awesome, because I personally want to see Godzilla fight something that is a lot larger than him. Both the Mutos were smaller than him, and he really was fighting 2 of them, but they were still smaller. I want to see him go up against something that Godzilla has to look up at. I definitely think that would be really cool. And first off, Biollante's design is just awesome. I love all of her moves, and she's just an all-around amazing kaiju, and I would love to see Biollante in the Legendary franchise. So at number 2, I have Space Godzilla, and I know this might be kind of a weird pick, but just hear me out. Space Godzilla is one of my favorite kaijus. I love the contrast between Godzilla and Space Godzilla. They're so similar, but you look at them and they're different at the same time because instead of like these spikes, they have crystals, and I always like the crystal idea. The fact that Space Godzilla can really control these crystals and has crystals on the back. And I like the idea that really this is one of the meanest monsters that Godzilla has ever faced. It kidnapped Godzilla's son. It took Godzilla and Mogira to fight him, and he basically destroyed an entire city. So Space Godzilla is awesome. I love that they look similar but different. Maybe you can say that it's a different kind of Godzilla. I don't really know for an origin. Again, this is where it would be difficult to do Space Godzilla because of the origin. But I definitely think that seeing a monster similar to Space Godzilla, even switching up the origin, would be fantastic. The design of Space Godzilla is one of my favorites. So at number 1, I have Destroya. Now Destroya is my favorite kaiju besides Godzilla. Destroya is just amazing. You could write in that there was another Godzilla and it was destroyed by something called the Oxygen Destroyer. You could kind of stick that in as maybe something that happened before. That's a little bit convoluting, but still you can kind of explain it away in the movie. I'm sure that the filmmakers can. And then I love the idea that Destroya is a product, as a lot of you know, of the thing that killed Godzilla in the first place, which I would absolutely love. I love the idea that something that has killed Godzilla before has now made this new monster. And I think it could work. Destroya is not an alien. He's just a small crustacean that was evolved. And not really a crustacean, just a smaller organism that was evolved and exposed to the Oxygen Destroyer down where the remnants of the first Godzilla's bones were. Because, of course, the Oxygen Destroyer killed that, and then it mutated these small animals into Destroya. And I like the idea that Destroya can break up into smaller kaijus and attack Godzilla at more than one spot. I definitely think that would be cool. It would add a little bit of horror to the movie because Destroya could break up into a whole bunch of these small things and then start attacking people. That kind of brings the scale down for Godzilla, for a Godzilla movie, and you can have like creature versus human action, and then at the same time they can all come together and form the one big Destroya again in the final form. So that's why I would like to see Destroya. Destroya's awesome. I love him. Like I said, one of my favorite kaiju, right beside Godzilla. But Godzilla just takes the cake by a little bit because he's just so awesome. So anyway, these are my top 5 kaiju I want in the Legendary series. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Which 5 kaiju do you guys want? Which 1 kaiju do you want? I know we're getting Mothra, Rodan, and Ghidorah, and I'm very excited about those. So don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and have a great day.